Hey guys, what's up? So the sad story around the Witcher graphic downgrade continues. I've got a lot of comments under my previous video of people saying, yeah, whatever, I don't care about a small downgrade, screw you, it's still a great game and stuff. And I never wanted to make the game look bad. I think it's an amazing game, and looking at the first reviews, everyone says that like the graphics are basically just a stage for the absolutely amazing story, and it's all about story. And that's fine, it's cool, I don't want to make The Witcher look bad. And I have to say, I have the highest respect for CD Projekt Red. Such a small studio to get such an amazing project done is just amazing, right? You have to see the amount of work that sticks in a project like this. So by all means, don't get me wrong, I don't want to make the game or the developer look bad. But new evidence has surfaced that makes it look very much like CD Projekt Red had to do a significant downgrade, because What Gaming, a website all about gaming, has apparently spoken to a CD Projekt Red insider. This information has to be taken with a grain of salt because they don't know his actual identity, and obviously they can't reveal it to the public. So I don't know to what extent it is true, but what he is saying is certainly very interesting, and it really confirms our worst nightmares. So not only does this insider confirm that there was a significant downgrade of the original version that we've seen in the 2013 trailer, he also goes into quite a lot of detail about why that happened and that the actual reason are the current gen consoles. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not a console hater, I don't try to make consoles look bad or anything, but let me just read out what this apparent insider had to say. So I'm quoting here. Most of the assets we were creating during the time we were creating our DirectX 11 solution render pipeline to bring the next generation experience to everyone. A lot of the footage, including the debut gameplay trailer, was done when the consoles were not even out and we had no idea about the specifications of the systems. This landed itself into problem territory when we realized the next generation systems could not simply meet our graphical output to the desirable level of quality that we needed. He then later on continues, we just did not have the manpower, budget, or the console power to produce the vision we intended before the consoles were released, to create a more visually stunning game of higher fidelity like the 2013 assets. The PCs themselves had more than enough power to achieve this vision, almost certainly, but working with the game across 3 platforms did not make it feasible to keep features included that could potentially break the game as we kept building around it. All the 2013 trailers were actually in-game footage, not pre-rendered or vertical slices, but essentially just not an entire finished world running on a high-end PC at a time. So basically what he's saying here in a nutshell is that they already had a lot of the game done using assets that were modeled and built around a high-end console/PC, well, just a powerful gaming machine. But then the new consoles launched and the hardware inside of them kind of landed them in reality, and they had to take all these assets out. So looking at that, it's not really CD Projekt's fault from my perspective, because I mean, they did an amazing job in creating this trailer, and if Sony and Microsoft would have brought out a console that is actually powerful enough to render these kind of things, then we would not have had a downgrade, right? So it is more Sony's and Microsoft's fault than CD Projekt's. That's just my opinion, I don't know. And also it must be really tough for CD Projekt. I mean, imagine you create all these assets, you got all this beauty going on, and you're like, oh, it's going to be an amazing game, pushing graphics to new boundaries, and then you have to take it all out and you know, remodel stuff with lower polygon counts and just make stuff look shit. I mean, it must be horrible to do that. It's like destroying your own artwork. Further, this insider goes into quite a bit of detail about what actually has been taken out and where they had to make compromises. So on top of that list is the level of horizon detail, essentially the draw distance that had to be completely tuned down to tax the consoles less. Obviously, draw distance eats a lot of machine power, we all know that. Volume-based translucency, ambient occlusion and foliage density, the tree count had to be taken down. Flexible water simulation, tessellation obviously was turned down, ground building tessellation, forward lit software particles, this is in the fire, the smoke, the fog that you would encounter while going through thick terrain in open spaces. Do you remember in the previous video I showed the screenshot, like where Geralt basically shoots fire out of his hands and it looked incredibly flat compared to the 2013 version? This is basically it. And the last point on the list are the real-time reflections in the water. They have been completely taken off and replaced with cheaper render solution estimators. So basically like static images that reflect an approximate environment. It probably still looks good, but it's not a real-time reflection. Now again, guys, I have looked at the current footage and I have looked at the first reviews. I don't think it's a bad looking game, honestly. I got so much people saying, you know, fuck you, CD Projekt, and screw you, you screwed us over. And you could see it this way, because if you remember, CD Projekt's community manager actually said nothing has been downgraded. But you have to put yourself in his position. I mean, it's not something that you really want to admit to and say publicly, yes, we had to downgrade it because, you know, the consoles can't cope with the power that the game needs. So I wouldn't be so harsh, especially towards CD Projekt Red. There's still no clear evidence that steers towards Sony and Microsoft actually imposing stuff on CD Projekt Red. Like we remember, there were these insider information where they did that with Watch Dogs. I mentioned in my previous video, where they basically said, look, we can't make the consoles look so bad. Can you please scale down the PC version? And then later on we discovered all these additional features. But honestly, this is exactly, personally, this is just my opinion, but this is exactly what I think happened here. Microsoft and Sony probably paid CD Projekt Red a certain amount of money, so they scaled down the version. CD Projekt Red kind of justified it by saying, look, we didn't have the manpower to make 3 versions and bring out a version on PC that actually uses all these assets, which is a good argument, I guess. But at the same time, you know, like I learned in my previous video, the whole demo that Conan O'Brien played was a PC version, while at the same time he was holding up an Xbox version, which is just like such a ridiculous deception, right? Like, it's so cheap. So if you ask me, in my personal opinion, I think it perfectly fits into the picture that Microsoft and Sony made sure that the console version is quite similar to the PC version, so that the PC doesn't look too superior. It exactly is something that they would do, and that's something that really annoys me. It really upsets me, just because you made a wrong decision of what hardware you put into your box. Now probably millions of gamers have to play like a less good looking game, and just so your delusional marketing strategy ends up working somehow, now you're just ruining it for everyone. It is such an expression of egoism, greed and stupidity at the same time that I can't even find the right words for this. And if this is what you're steering your anger towards, then I can completely understand it. Anyway guys, I just wanted to share these thoughts with you. I hope you enjoyed the video. Stay tuned, take care, and I'll see you next time. I'm out. Bye.